Okay, so it says that we're live.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just wait for it to pop up on YouTube and all the rest of it. Looks like everything seems to be in place. We've got a couple of people watching, which is great. So I'm just going to end up with a bit of. I just got to get rid of this banner down the bottom. Hide. There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dusty Book Sniffers. I'm Nicole, and this is Maria from Read Fine Books, and we are
Hi.
here today for some reading sprints.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that have never done a reading sprint before, I'm just going to close down my YouTube so I don't have to listen to that. All right, get rid of that. Alrighty, so basically what is going to happen today is we are going to do some reading sprints. We're going to have a couple of sprints where we'll talk for a little bit and then we'll cut and do some reading. Maria and I are reading Middlemarch. I have my copy here to mark it up so I know what's going on. And Maria has been lovely enough to create some character maps over on her blog. So all of that information will be down underneath our live stream once we've gone live. I will get all of that in there. So you'll be able to go over if you are reading Middlemarch along with us. You'll be able to follow along there. So, Maria, can you tell us a little bit about your character maps that you've created for us?
Oh, well, um, I when I read, I didn't used to do that before, but um, I I think for Middlemarch I kind of needed them because um, I was very confused as to everyone whereabouts. So Tipton Grange. There are a lot of names for where everyone is living. So I don't know. I decided to do them because they helped me a lot follow all the characters, and I think all the characters are very well drawn out. They are very well represented, and having a character map actually helps me reading and helps me focus better on each character and where they will evolve, because um, how they will develop. Sorry. Everyone will marry and move to another place, and I don't know. It's it was a lot in the first book, so meaning I already read Middlemarch once and I loved it the first time. That's why I'm doing this with you again. So this time I'm focusing more on details and
The same, very much the same,
yeah.
because I was with you when I read it in the middle of the year, and
Mm-hmm.
as I said to you in messages, I think I feel like I missed a lot from the book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just beautifully written. The characters are well structured, as you said, and it is hard to keep constant track of what's going on with who and everything. So having those character maps, as you said, are just going to be brilliant to help us move through the book a little bit easier and keep up.
I'm
Hang on,
glad.
what's going on here? We can have a look and see what's going on. So Tracy is actually starting Middlemarch with us tonight as well. She's over
Hi.
in the Discord. So hey Tracy, thanks for joining us tonight. And we've got
I
Faye here and Chrissy Stitches and Gail from Wombat Hollow Craft. Some of these ladies have come over from my craft
mm,
channel
that is
as well,
nice.
so they've been joining in the fun with the booktube and whatnot. So, as I was saying earlier, this is sort of the beginning, a very small step into the Serialised Book Club, which is basically all the classics that have been serialised in the past when they were first released, is how we are going to read Middlemarch and also the Count of Monte Cristo and a few others that we've got planned out for next year. So,
Mm-hmm.
as the name suggests, we are going to read it in installments. So, for example, Middlemarch came out in 8 volumes. So every 2 months, this came out back in 1871 in the December. That's why we're starting in December. And basically, every 2 months from now on, we will read another volume until we get to the end of next year, and we will finalise it up. And hopefully, Maria will be able to join us every couple of months for our Middlemarch live stream, and we can all read together. I've just got a few different little comments coming up, so we'll get them coming up. Gail says, hi, everybody. And I did try to read it a couple of years ago, but gave up about halfway through. Hopefully this time around, reading it together will help. Yeah, it's definitely a situation where reading with other people can really help you get through it. I know that spurred me on in the middle of the year. What about you, Maria? Did it help you having other people reading with you?
Yes, definitely. Especially then, I think we had another booktuber there. I'm not sure, but she really, meaning I'm not sure she is a booktuber, but she really helped clear up some of the things I really didn't understand about medicine in those times, religion perhaps. There are topics like politics, religion, and medicine that changed a lot during the time of Middlemarch, meaning 1830s, around that time. That is when the action is. George Eliot wrote it in 1870 something, but she chose to focus on the 1830s because that is when a lot of things happened in Great Britain that changed.
Lots of changes in that
Yeah,
era. Yeah, very much so. So for
yeah,
those that don't know, when this is basically following what they call provincial life. So we are in a place called Middlemarch, and it is following a series of characters in their day-to-day life over a span of, I think it's a couple of years, isn't it? It spans over.
yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm sure that's
I'm.
probably one of the things that I missed when I read it the first time around. I'm really looking forward to just diving really deep into it this time and seeing just all the different little things that I missed the first time around. And I didn't take many notes the first time around either. So this time I'm planning on highlighting a lot more. I've got my tabs ready, I have my highlighters ready, and I've got the book that I'm going to mark up, because you can see just there is my cloth bound copy of Middlemarch. That, and I don't want to mark that up. So yeah. All right. So, is there anything that anybody in the comments would in the live chat would like to know? Anything, any sort of clarifications or anything like that? As I said, this will be every 2 months. We will be focusing on Middlemarch, but we will also have other ones happening, such as Count of Monte Cristo, Anna Karenina, which that really doesn't roll off my tongue very well. We've also got a few other books as well. So if you should happen to pop in here and you don't know what the Serialised Book Club is, if you head to our down to Dusty's Discord, you will find all those links down below, and you will find all the books that we're going to be serializing next year. So we might cut to starting reading our book and do a 30-minute sprint, if that's okay with everybody. I'm still learning how to do this, so this is very, very new to me. I only used it once, and that was today over on my craft channel. And so I don't know how to share screens or anything like that, so I do apologise. But I'm going to set my alarm, and we will come back in about 30 minutes and see how far we've got with our reading. So if you're starting, grab your book, grab your cuppa, sit back, relax, and we will see you in about 30 minutes. Alrighty, so how do I do all this? All right, so I'm going to stop my camera because I don't know how to share a screen. As I said, I'm just learning how to do it, and I think you are going to do that at your end too, Maria?
Yes.
Yep, okay, cool. No worries. All right, I will see everybody in 30 minutes. Happy reading, everybody.
Happy reading.
Hello, we are back. All right. So, how did everybody go with their reading? I am up to chapter 3.
Oh, still on chapter 2 myself.
I just finished the last sentence in chapter 2. So, yeah, poor Sir James.
Yeah.
Poor Sir James has the hots for Dorothea, and she is not interested at all.
Yes, I don't understand how she doesn't see it. I don't understand how she doesn't see he um as a suitor at all. The
Yeah.
first sentence is she talks with him there. She thinks about him as a brother-in-law, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like they seem like they're suited in a way because they're able to converse so easily. But yeah, she just dismisses him, and yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And
dear me.
from everyone, he's like the only one who keeps in count her opinions.
Mm, mm.
But
And like, there's that line in there where about the father.
yeah,
That is so strange.
yes, I remember that. Uh,
I read it again and I'm just like, oh my god, that is still as strange as the first time that I watched it and like listened to it. It's
mm-hmm.
just so weird. So weird. All right, so Tracy has reached up to chapter 2. Excellent, excellent. And Faye is halfway through chapter 3. Well done, Faye. Look at you go. Speedy
Mm-hmm.
Gonzalez. No, it's just yeah. I like how there's a little bit of banter between the two sisters as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
you really get a sense of their sisterhood and how they are so different, but yet they still sort of think along the same lines as well.
Yeah, and I like how Celia looks up to Dorothea, but she doesn't dare to speak her mind.
No,
That
yeah,
is.
she very much holds back, doesn't she? Yeah, I totally agree with that. But she holds back by not saying anything. But I like how George Eliot has put in there like what Celia is actually thinking. That
Mhm,
she doesn't necessarily have to listen to her sister now because they are of age, and they're
mhm.
both very highly educated women as well, which is really good. And they seem I found them to be strong characters when I read it the first time, and even just going through these first 2 chapters and getting to know them again, I feel like they are very strong characters and they very much know their own mind. But it is a shame that Celia doesn't speak up to her sister and go, "Hey, you're wrong."
Mhm.
So, and what do you think of oh, what's his name? Is it Casaubon? Is his name the one that
Yes,
Dorothea is
Edward
looking up to?
Castleboy.
Yeah.
Well, he is old, but he fits into her idea of a learned man, of a wise man, perfectly. I think that's why she'll fall in love with him, if we
Hmm.
can call it that.
Yeah.
Because I think there are some phrases there where George Eliot hints that Dorothea is understands that she hasn't fallen in love with a person like Kasaban, but she needs him to further her knowledge, to um, I don't know, to just open her mind a lot more, because um, she feels that everything that girls learn at the time is not enough for what she wants, for what she needs to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
she
totally
sees
agree with
an
that. Yeah.
opportunity there.
It's almost like a marriage. It's like a marriage of convenience for her. than
Mhm.
a love match, whatnot.
Yes.
So yeah. Tracy is just saying that Dorothea seems much older in comparison to Celia. Yeah, she does in a way, but they are not even, I think it even says in there, they're not even 20 yet. But I think just the things that they've gone through in their life, because they've lost both their parents. They
Mhm.
started off in England, then they've ended up in Switzerland and with their bachelor uncle. And yeah, so I think just what they've gone through, Dorothea has assumed that role of the matriarch of the family, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
And yeah, comes across a lot older, feels like she's got to look after her little sister, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
she likes it a lot though, because um it's there that their uncle should have brought in an older person to um, help them navigate the world, but Dorothea is the one that opposes that, and she very much loves the idea of being the person in charge of the house. And yeah,
But
I
yeah,
I totally
very much
agree
a
with that.
control freak.
Mhm.
Very much so. I totally agree with that. Yeah, and you can see that how it plays out in their dynamics, even like around the jewelry and everything that they're discussing. Like it's
Mhm.
almost like Celia has to, um, like Dorothea wants to take the moral high ground, and Celia just wants to push her a little bit to not be so structured. And it's really good how they play off one another. And
Mhm.
yeah, I like Celia. She's a little bit of a I'm going to push the envelope and see how far I can take it.
Yeah, and she actually plans the whole scene. She knows where the keys are, because Dorothea, her first reaction is to, um, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that, but sometime I don't know when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, she played it so innocently, like, oh, but it's been 6 months.
Yes.
And then like Dorothea is, oh, I don't know where the key is. Oh, well, the key's just here. So you can see that
Yes.
it's totally planned out on Celia's part. So it's such a good little dynamic that they have going. And it's really like, having read the book before, I think I missed a lot of that sisterhood
So,
between the two of them, because it was just
yeah.
about getting in and reading the story, whereas now
Mhm.
I'm taking the time to actually see the relationships and how they develop, and the little nuances of all the relationships as well. So it's going to be a good read. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it the second
Mhm.
time around. So yeah. And it's so true when a lot of people say, like you read the classics and sometimes you just don't get it until you read it a second or a third time, and they are definitely books that you need to do that for.
Yeah, and I think George Eliot's humor is in this kind of details, um, references to other books, other characters we might not get the first time around, but
Yeah. Yes, very very true. And I like in the cloth bound edition that I've got, at the beginning of each chapter there's that the
the
little quotes that they
epigraphs,
have,
yes.
and from different books that she has
Mhm.
referred to and all that sort of stuff. It's it's quite interesting, and sort of when you read them, like now that I'm reading them in the second time around, they are very much playing a part in telling you what the next chapter is sort of going to be about, which is good.
Mhm.
Like the second chapter, I don't understand that, because that's yeah,
It's
yeah.
Spanish from Don Quixote, right?
Yeah, it's yeah from, but I don't read
Yeah,
Spanish,
but
so
it yeah, I read Spanish, but that is some old Spanish. I
well, that's good.
it's
At
too
least we both
difficult.
don't understand it. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
Oh
but
dear me.
the idea is to, I think Don Quixote.
Yeah,
I haven't read that, so that is the main problem.
yeah. I haven't read it either. It is on my to read
Mhm.
list, but I think that might be just a little bit way down the track, because I just might not be there yet. So yeah, I've wanted to read it for a long time. It's been on my classics
Mhm.
TBR, but yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant still. So we'll wait. we'll get to it eventually. So Tracy's saying that her edition also has the quotes in them as well. Yeah, they do. Like, I did notice that they sort of refer to what the chapter's going to be about. We obviously aren't going to know what it's for chapter 2 because no one can read Spanish. It will be very old Spanish. I can't read it at all. So yeah. But I am thoroughly enjoying seeing the relationship develop. But I feel sorry for poor Sir James. He so has it bad for Dorothea, and she has just no interest whatsoever. She's almost like, talk to the hand. I don't want to know.
Yeah. The problem is she considers him a bit stupid, I think.
Yes. And I think that's the one thing I sort of don't like about Dorothea is that she does tend to look down on people a little bit. And she thinks that she is a little bit better, I guess, than what they are. And as you said, she sees him as a little bit stupid and a little bit inferior in intellect and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, she's also thinking that he's great for her sister. So what does that mean she thinks about her sister's intellect? Like, does she think that her sister's stupid too? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of the one thing that I don't really like about Dorothea, her attitude towards other people and their intellect. So it's very, very interesting. So Tracy, what are you thinking about the story so far? Because you're up to, and Faye, what is your thoughts so far as well? I'd really like to see that in the comments. And then we might, in a couple of minutes, head off to another sprint. What do you think, another 30 minutes, or would you like to go for a bit longer this time?
30 minutes for me, because then I think I have to go.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we'll probably only make it a pretty short one tonight, but yeah. So I'm so glad that you decided to come and do this with me and read it again. Even though we only read it a couple of months ago, I think it's really good that we're getting into it, not waiting for 12 months and just getting right back into it, because I think a lot of the story is still fresh in our mind, but as we've seen just with the first 2 chapters, we're seeing a lot more of the writing style of George Eliot and her humor coming through, and the dynamics between the characters. Who would have thunk it that you could get this much out of a book? Tracy's saying that she's really enjoying it so far, and she likes the dynamic between the characters as well, between the 2 sisters. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Especially, as I said, the second time around, it's making it a lot more enjoyable indeed.
Yes, I actually wanted this because I at the end of that book, I couldn't actually do a review of Middlemarch. I couldn't put myself to think of the entire book, and I really love this approach, book to book.
Yeah,
it's a lot better this way. I can think more about the characters.
That's right. Well, we've got 2 months basically, because each volume was released bi-monthly back when it was originally published back in 1871. So essentially, we actually have 2 months to read the first 100 pages or whatever book 1 is, depending on what edition that you have. So it's a really good way to just read a little bit. Take your time through each chapter, digest each chapter, take some notes and everything. And of course, all the effort that you've put in with the character mapping as well is absolutely brilliant. And it's going to help a lot of us keep track of everything that's going on, because it is a day-to-day sort of grind of what is happening in Middlemarch. I know myself, I had to a couple of times go back a couple of chapters with the audio book the first time around and just catch up onto who I was following along with. So, and that's what gave me the idea of actually going back to how they read it back in the day, and just taking our time and really digesting the story and having a good time with it. And doing these live streams will be really good as well, because I think it will help a lot of us to understand where George Eliot was coming from and what she was trying to do. And as you said, her sense of humor will start to come through. And because, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, George Eliot herself was a very interesting character in herself. The little
Yes.
things that I've learned about her, I'm just like, wow, this is a woman that I would have liked to know.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Um, and how are you going to end up reviewing Middlemarch? Are you going to do it book by book on your channel? Yeah,
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing. Just each time we finish a book, doing a bit of a review and yeah, because it's as you said, 800 pages to try and remember the nuances of the story is just.
I
I
I
mean, yeah,
want to I want to do book by book,
yep,
and then I want to do something like um, religion in Middlemarch, marriages in Middlemarch, because I think George Eliot follows the characters, and every couple is different. Medicine in Middlemarch. I want to take an approach to the entire book, but
yep.
on topic specific, because I I I still can't think of the entire book as a whole. I think she didn't want that either, because this is a study of provincial life. It doesn't have one character, one story, and
Mm-hmm.
there are just
But
too
that
many things she approaches in there.
there is a lot in this book, and
Mm.
like when you say to someone, oh, it's a study of provincial life, they go, but it's so interesting because she's delved into so many topics of that time. And as you
Mhm.
said, it's based around the 30s, 1830s, and so there was a lot of changes in Britain around that time. So yeah, like as you said, with the medicine and all that sort of stuff, I think that's going to be really interesting to see where you take your reviews on your channel. And yeah, I know that I'm going to be definitely watching, and I hope that some of our viewers tonight will go over and subscribe to your channel if they haven't already done so, and they can see, because you do wonderful reviews. I like how in depth that you do. I'm a little bit more blasé. Oh yeah, it was a great story, yada yada yada. But yeah, I really like the work and effort that you put into your reviews. And as I said, the mapping of the characters for this is phenomenal. I had a quick breeze over it today, like between live streams, because
Mhm.
I pretty much feel like I've been on camera all day today. Um, yeah, so I had a bit of a quick look, and I'm like, this is brilliant. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to go in a lot more deeper into it, print some stuff off, have it there for my
Yeah.
notes and all the rest of it. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to what you're going to do. I like that idea of delving into the topics individually as well as the books. So Faye is saying a few times she found herself smiling at Dorothea's high and mighty attitude. Um, I'm so much I'm so much better than you. This looks like it's going to be a good book. It is a really good book. Even though it is an old book, it still makes you laugh. It still makes you cringe. It still has topics that are relevant today,
Mm.
that
A lot
you
of them. Yeah.
can easily understand. George Eliot done a fabulous job with this one.
Hmm. I totally agree.
All
Yeah.
right, so what we might do is go for another 30-minute sprint, see if we can get
Hmm.
another couple of chapters read, and then we'll come back. And I believe you've got to go then, Maria. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Yep. And we
Yes.
might do a quick wrap up then after that, and we will be back in about 30 minutes. All righty, we'll see you then.
Yes.
Bye. Happy
Bye.
reading.
Be reading.
we are back. 30 minutes has already flown past. All right. So, I just need to find my headphones, which fell before. Hopefully I can get them untangled. All right. All right. So, I see that Faye had to take off. So, bye, Faye. So how did everybody go in that 30-minute sprint? I ended up getting about halfway through chapter 4, just up to the marriage proposal.
I actually am still on chapter 3. Because I started going on the internet for references, and that is
A bad move.
Yeah. However,
Takes you down a rabbit hole, that does.
Yeah. But actually, the first time I read this, I found a reference here about Chloe and Strephon. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. It's in chapter 3.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a poem by Jonathan Swift, and it is hilarious. I read that again now because I had to pause and reread it, and I actually it's one of the things I love about George Eliot. These references are hilarious if you know about them. That is the main problem with writing, because I haven't read Paradise Lost. We haven't read Don Quixote. There are a lot of things there that if we knew them, I think we would enjoy this book even more. But
very true. Very true.
Yeah. But this poem about Chloe and Strephon, this one is very tiny, so everyone can read it. I can give the link. I found it on the internet, and it is actually very, very funny. I don't.
So we can always link that up in the Middlemarch discussion as well over on the Discord. So if you want to link it up over there, that way everybody can go over and find it. All the links for the Discords for both mine and Maria's is down below. And so you can come over and join either one. Maria has got a whole heap of stuff happening as well next year, as well as in Dusty. So you'll see both of us in each other's Discord quite a bit because we do read a lot of the same books. But yeah, like as you said, there's a lot of times that you get online to find out what the references are, and then you go down a rabbit hole, and it's dangerous work that is. Like I really like this copy that I've got here because it has all the footnotes in the back as well, and it gives you extra reading to further reading and stuff like that. So as we go on a little bit further, I'll put a lot of those extra books and stuff that people may be interested in going down that rabbit hole.
Yes, that would be a great idea because I don't have that book. I read the one that's on the Gutenberg project.
Yep.
So that doesn't have any references at all.
So that's why you're getting on the internet and heading down that rabbit hole. Yeah, see, that's why I ended up pulling the book down because this book here I purchased off Amazon, and the formatting is just shocking in it, but it's great for marking it up. So like you can see here, that's where the chapter starts, and that little paragraph that's normally in the chapter is all spread out, and the formatting's terrible. But I figured it's cheap enough to mark up, and I can write my notes in it, and then it's all in one place. Whereas the formatting in this is a lot nicer.
Yes.
So you can see, but then this was a very expensive book. But it actually, I haven't even really looked in the back. This is just cover to cover story. It actually the same as what you're reading. doesn't have any of the further
Yeah.
reading or the footnotes or anything like that. So I've
Mm-hmm.
got the 2 books out so I don't fall down that rabbit hole of going down and getting lost on the internet for a couple of hours. Oh, dear
Yeah.
me. So Tracy is up to chapter 4. I've just started chapter 4. I think I'm about halfway through chapter 4, maybe a third of the way through chapter 4. But there was a really funny part in here that I read, which was in chapter 3, when Sir James turned up and he galloped up on his chestnut horse and jumped off, and he had a little Maltese terrier, and then Dorothea goes into the whole spiel about how she doesn't like the dog, like just shot him down completely. So much
Yeah.
so that he didn't even offer it to Celia, even after she said that Celia likes those dogs. She had a little terrier once, and I'm just like, oh wow. But she acknowledges herself that she had spoken to him with some haughtiness, and she was quite
Yeah.
rude to him. So yeah, I'm just like, wow. Tell us what you really think, Dorothea.
Yes, I am actually stuck a lot on her relationship with Casabon. I the more I read this book, the more I like him, because I feel we don't really understand him. I feel we dismiss him too quickly because of his looks, and that is sad, but
It is,
it is
yeah,
real. I mean, he is too old for her. In
because
his
they're
in
they're
her eyes, it doesn't matter.
yeah, because she is seeing it for, like we said just before, she's seeing it more of a marriage of convenience to further her education, to gain knowledge from him and all the rest
Mm-hmm.
of it. um and he's
Yes,
quite, and you can see he's quite knowledgeable and all the rest of it, but he's in his 50s. Am I correct in saying that? And she's not quite 20 yet, or just turned
yes.
20, so there's a
She's
good
she's
30 years
21,
difference.
and yeah, she's 46 or 47.
Yeah, yeah. So there is quite a big age difference, and I've just got to the part where the uncle is talking to her about spoilers if you're not up to this, anybody, where he's talking to her about his thoughts of marrying Dorothea and whatnot, and I'm not too, like, I've got to that point where he's just, as I said, just starting to talk about it, and I sort of get the impression that yes, he's known him for a long time. Mr. Brooks has known him for a long time, but at the same time, I'm not sure that he's real keen on Dorothea marrying him. But even though I only read this book a couple of months ago, I actually can't remember how it played out, whether Mr. Brooks was happy about the union or not. So I'm really now invested in seeing it. And as you said, I think we dismiss him because he is so much older and his looks. And I think Celia has played a part in that, in the narration
Yes,
of the story, because she doesn't like the look of him, and she's, expressed that to Dorothea.
yes, yes. She talks about that bit of how he eats his soup and how his skin looks, and
Yeah,
but
she just, yeah, didn't like him at all, at all.
hmm. But Dorothea compares him with the archangel Michael in
Mm,
Paradise Lost, and that says a lot about what she feels around religion and knowledge. She loves this mix, in particular, of religion and knowledge, and I feel she really found it in Casaubon, because Casaubon, he's a reverend as well. So
mm, mm.
apart from the knowledge, he has that religious part as well.
Yeah, and I think for Dorothea, she holds religion and knowledge at the same level
Mm-hmm,
as each
mm-hmm.
other. They in her eyes, they are equal. They are the epitome of her life and what she wants to achieve. And you can see that, like, just the little bits that we know about Casaubon. you can actually see that he is that way inclined himself. So in that aspect, they are a really good match. But still, I want to see her with Sir James because he seems like a character, and and Celia does say you see him as silly, and Dorothea does, and he is a little bit because he is so blind to the fact that Dorothea is not interested in him. He's just so obsessed, and so I can
he's
see that. Yeah.
There is a line in there somewhere where George Eliot talks about why he doesn't see it. He's so full of himself, James Chatham. He's so full
Yeah.
of himself. He also has on his side tradition. He sees himself as the perfect match, and on paper he should be, but
Yeah.
he doesn't really get Dorothea, even though he actually admires her mind.
He
There is
does.
a
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and he is searching for that in his future wife. He wants an almost equal partnership, almost equal being given the fact that he can always control it in
Mm.
reality.
Yeah.
He's the one in control, even though the wife may be smarter. He feels good about that as well.
Yeah. So true. So true. But I think you're right in the aspect that he is looking for someone as an equal, but still he will want to control things and all that sort of stuff
Mm-hmm.
because let's face it, of the time that it was written, there was always that element that the man was in control.
Mm-hmm.
And as women, we were just to do as we were told and follow the, you know, the status quo, so to speak. So, yeah, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying, as I said before, I'm really thoroughly enjoying just seeing the little things that I missed. Like, I remembered about the dog, but I didn't remember everything that she said, like how rude she was about it. It was just like, wow, that she's really like doesn't like that dog. that and he just sort of takes it in his stride. Like he didn't skip a beat really. He just like he asked her why, she gave the reasons. He's like, okay, and then handed the dog off. And then yeah, and then you sort of there's that whole conversation between the two sisters as well, how she's saying that you find him silly and all this sort of stuff. And again, Dorothea is saying, trying to push Celia in his direction, and she's not even getting it. Like, in some aspects, she's not understanding that that's what her sister's wanting her to do. So yeah, quite a
Mm-hmm.
funny little situation happening there. So yeah, I am looking forward to moving on, like from um, like in one part she's talking to her uncle here, and she says in it like she was a bit taken back that he wanted to like he wants to marry her, and like she was taken back and a bit speechless, and the uncle sort of took that for hesitation in a little way, but then she's gone on to say that how she will accept and that she adores him and for everything that he can give her, and in the religion side of things and also in the knowledge. She's very, very much, as I was saying, she sees those two things very much as the same thing in
Mm-hmm.
her eyes. Yeah.
I think the uncle doesn't really care all that much. He doesn't seem very invested in what Dorothea will do. He just warns her that, he's old.
Yeah.
You may not like that, but ultimately it's up to you. I like that part.
Hmm.
And he was really invested in James because they had the property side by side, and maybe that would unite the properties together because Dorothea was his heiress.
Hmm.
So yeah, it would have been a perfect match for the
So
financial stuff.
in that era, I know that England had laws where women couldn't inherit. in that era, do you know if the women could inherit property or not?
In this book, I'm not sure about everything, but in
Mhm.
this in the first part, in the first chapter, I think it is clearly stated that when her uncle dies, Dorothea inherits Tipton Grange.
Yep. Yep.
That is clearly said, and she has her 700 pounds a year from
Mhm.
her parents, I think, and she will inherit Tipton Grange because her uncle doesn't have um, heirs on the male side.
Mhm.
So yeah, she will
Okay.
inherit that, and that will add 3,000 pounds to her income. She is
Wow. She's
the
a wealthy
heiress.
woman. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely a wealthy woman for sure. So, I see. I missed that.
uh, it's, I think
I'll have to go back and have a look.
it's in chapter one, definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. Here. Yep. Yeah. In Mr. Brooks' hereditary strain of Puritan energy, da da da, goes on to say, but if Dorothea married and had a son, the son would inherit Mr.
yeah,
Brooks' estate. Yeah. So
exactly.
as
Yeah,
if
you're right. The
yeah,
sun.
yeah. So because there are no male heirs, then she can inherit. But as soon as the son is born, then all
Mm-hmm.
the land goes to the son. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. Yeah, it's about, well, in my book it's on page 2. So yeah, no, well, that's interesting, because I honestly, I didn't give it much thought about the properties being side by side at all. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't give that much thought at all, but that would make sense why he would want those two to get together,
Mm-hmm.
because her being the eldest, and then that basically just, it doubles the size of their land, and
Yeah,
whatnot. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I like how she's portrayed, like she's building these properties and these cottages, and he's helping her to do that as well, and she's moving people into them, um, and like helping them out. It's like she thinks that she's helping, being Christian,
yeah,
and helping them out and all that sort of stuff, whereas he is just seeing it as being able to do something with her, and give him something to do, so to speak. Yeah, so it's quite interesting how they are building the cottages and everything together as well. So yeah, but very interesting take on that. I never even thought about why the uncle was leaning towards St James a bit more,
mm,
um, than Casaubon, because I mean, with Casaubon being, I think that's how you pronounce it, being so
yeah,
much older than her, essentially she's, with the times, the age that he's classed as elderly. So she's essentially only going to be with him for a short time before she becomes a carer for him, in a
yes,
sense. So yeah, like that's sad in a way, for such a young girl to end up with
yeah,
someone of that age and then having to look after him. That's really sad.
yeah. But
So
the the upside of things is that most people didn't live that much, meaning she
yeah,
wouldn't take care of him indefinitely. It would
no, no.
be surely for a little while. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah,
I I
that's exactly right. Yeah.
I always thought that as a financial move for her, that would be great as well, because she will inherit him as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, that's right. Like, really, this woman is like the go-to woman. She is going to be so wealthy, no matter which way she goes.
Mhm.
That's like, she's going to, and essentially that also sets up Celia as well, because their relationship is a caring one, and so Dorothea being such high values in Christianity, and her religion and everything, she is going to care for her sister. So it's almost prudent for either way, it doesn't matter which way she goes, it's going to work out well for Celia as well. So in a way that they're very much self-sufficient, and that's, I think I'm really liking that part of the story, because a lot of the classics that you read, the women are so dependent on these men to get where they need to go in life, whereas George Eliot's taken a different take on it and portraying them as, you know, strong-minded women that know their own mind and can make their own decisions. And I think that's why I've gelled. Like, I know that a lot of people hate me on this, but, you know, I just don't gel with Jane Austen because of the way the women are portrayed. Because, you know, we've come a long way in that time. Surely there must have been some strong people back then, strong women that, you know, bucked against the trend and all that sort of stuff, because we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't, you know, have people all the way along doing that. And that's why I struggle with Jane Austen so much, because they're so highly dependent on the man to look after them. And I'm really loving this because they're not. You know, they've got their own mind. They're making their own decisions. The men are almost playing secondary characters to these women in a way. Like, that's the way I'm perceiving it. It could be completely wrong, but that's the way I'm perceiving it.
No, they are definitely strong. And I see in the comments, Tracy is saying, I feel like she would have relished the idea of being a carrier for him in a Christian sense, and I totally agree. Dorothea actually says somewhere that she would have loved to take care of, I don't know who was blind. She talks about a lot of important men she would have loved to take care of, just to be around them. So
there's also a line, just going back to that, as you were saying, she wants to, I remember what you're saying there, about her wanting to care and all the rest of it. There is actually a line here that I highlighted. She sat down opposite her uncle, and they were talking and whatnot, and she was sitting down opposite him, enjoying the glow, but the uplifting her hands, like showing her hands, and they were thin hands. They were not thin hands or small hands, but powerful feminine maternal hands. So that sort of leads into that, her being caring. That's how she sees herself. And yeah, so obviously the way it's portrayed, like she must have been holding her hands up and looking at them, and she was describing them. So yeah, and she was holding them up in proportion to her passionate desire to know how to think. And yeah, it goes on from there. She had just got home after learning that Sir James actually really, really does like her, and thinks that he's going to, and Celia's stirring the pot a little bit and upsetting her sister. So yeah, it's so funny, because I've got girls, and I see how like they interact with one another, and so it makes me giggle, because I see that in my girls. Like my youngest one, she is such a pot stirrer. Like, she just likes to get in there and rile her sister up a little bit, and she's always been like that. But then my middle child, she gets in there and stirs up the pot even a little bit further, and it just woof, goes up. So I can really see like the dynamic of the sisterhood with these two in this book. Yeah, it's actually really funny to watch. All right, have we got any more little things popping up? We've still got 3 people watching, so hey to all those that are still watching. I hope that you're enjoying our live feed. But we are going to wrap it up now, because Maria has to head off and finish the rest of her day. My day is ending, and you're around midday now, is it? About 1 o'clock your time?
Yes.
You've had to go. But we'd just like to say thank you to everybody that has joined us this evening or today, no matter where you're watching from. Hopefully you can join us again for another live stream. Keep an eye out on Dusty's channel, and hopefully we can get over on Maria's channel and have a live stream over there in the near future. That'd be great if we could split it up between the 2 channels. But as I said, I'd like to thank Maria for joining us tonight. It's been great having a discussion with you about the book. Really, really enjoying talking to you about it in person as opposed to text. It's absolutely
Yes,
fabulous.
yes, yes.
I hope you've enjoyed your time here, and I'll welcome you back with open arms anytime.
Yes.
And yeah, we will see you
Thank
in a couple of months, if
you.
not sooner, on the channels. And if you haven't yet joined our Discords, come over. All the information will be down underneath this video. And we'd love to see you over. I know that a couple of you are already over in Dusty's, but like to see you over in Maria's as well. And keep reading, and we'll check in from time to time over in the Discord about and have the discussion over there as well. And come January, we will have another reading sprint, maybe for Middlemarch, definitely for the next book that we're going to start, which is The Count of Monte Cristo. But that is it from me tonight, and also from Maria.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
No
I love
worries,
to
not a
talk
problem.
to you.
Anytime. Thank
Yes.
you for coming and making our first live stream wonderful. I've thoroughly
Mhm.
enjoyed it. I hope that you have,
Mhm.
and I hope
Yes,
everybody
yes.
in the comments has as well. But that is it from me today, and also from Maria. As always, keep turning those pages, and we will both see you in our next videos. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Have
Bye.
a great day. Bye.
Bye.